Good morning. What's going on, guys? Happy freaking Friday. Think Growth. It is Friday. We appreciate you guys being here. Hope you guys are just as amped to start the weekend as we are. You know, it's funny. We have Jeff McGrew here with us, who is the only other individual that I know personally that has more kids than Carlin and I do. Not even individually, even combined. So kudos. It is very fitting for the show that we're going to be having this morning. But, dude, how about that intro, bro?
I love that intro, man.
Thanks, man.
Dude, it's great. That thing gets you pumped.
Right? We were talking about this right before we went live. We were like, dude, you remember? Because we're going to be talking about parents. And if any of you guys who are watching are parents and you guys want to learn, what other people are doing, what other parents are doing to help juggle the intricacies of being a parent, a spouse, a business owner, and maybe even you're trying to launch your business while working on your W-2. So overarchingly, that's what we're going to be going over today. But I was just telling Jeff and Carlin before we got rolling, I got mine set up over here watching Paw Patrol with some snacks. We got some Apple Jacks in a snack cup. We got a blanket, and we're ready to go. And although the intro to Paw Patrol isn't as cool as like the Power Rangers was, that was kind of our thing. We're like, man, you know what? Our intro for the podcast is it's not quite Power Ranger level, but it gets you amped up, man. I feel like I did when I was 7 years old, wait for Power Rangers to come on.
I'm usually sitting here pretending to play the drums like I actually have some sort of skill in it. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing right now.
You literally just said what I was doing, waiting for the countdown to start.
You can't help it.
No.
You can't help it.
No, that's the kid in us wanting to still be young,
I am still young. What are you talking about?
We're all young at heart.
Well, thank you guys for being here. Today's episode is going to be, I have a feeling it's going to be one of my favorites for sure. Actually, Carlin, how about you kind of introduce this a little bit? I know there was an episode that Chris and I did a little bit earlier that was kind of sparked by you. Or not even kind of, it was sparked by you. And so now, us doing what we're doing right now and having Jeff here and the army of kids that he has, it's only appropriate and fitting that we kind of come back and bring this back full circle for the parents, the parentpreneurs that are in the audience today.
That was almost a year ago. I think I'm pretty sure I called you crying. For context, I'm pretty sure I called you crying and was like, how do I do this? Like, what's going on? What do I do? Because, we had a newborn, we had a toddler, still have a toddler. And then my girls were in kindergarten or first grade, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. And just like the level of chaos especially when you're like just trying to get into entrepreneurship and you're already juggling, like, trying to figure out life, I guess. And then you have 4, 5, however many other individuals heavily relying on you to keep them alive. like okay, so much like you, Jesse, I've got my 2 girls set up in the living room. They're watching Bugs Life. Actually, at this point, they've probably changed it to YouTube since mom is not there to supervise.
100%.
Yeah, the boys are down for a nap. I planned it. I was like, I'm going to keep them up until 11:30 and then I'm going to put them down for a nap and I'm going to win. So full circle, I think that episode that you did with Chris, Jesse, that was the most heartfelt thing I think I could have ever experienced. Just like hearing like, yeah, dude, no. Balance is not going to happen. Like that's a made up word. That's the B word. We don't use that word.
It's perfectly chaotic.
Yeah,
dude, that's a great way to put it.
Very well spoken.
Oh yes.
Perfectly chaotic. So, it's interesting because that's something that I feel like would resonate with a lot of people is, just I would venture a guess, just based on the amount of people that I've talked with who are parents, that the reason that they're making this pivot in their life and creating this business and trying to do hard things and to get uncomfortable is because of the family that they have. They're doing it for their family. They're doing it for the generations after them. As a parent, you always hear you always want your kids to be better off than you were. And that's something that seems to be, regardless of where you grow up or how you were raised or whatever, it seems to be a theme that's pretty synonymous, just amongst individuals for the most part who do have kids. And a lot of times we find ourselves in this matrix of just a whole bunch of stuff going on at one time. And it's like, dude, I've got to go drop kids off at school. And then I've got to go pick up my kindergartner. And then I got to come back, and I got this Zoom meeting that I've got to jump on. Then I've got a phone call with this individual. And then I got to go pick him back up from school after I dropped him off, 2.5 hours later. And then I got this going on. I got this going on. And then we got this property in escrow, but this seller needs to be called back. But wait a minute, how's the follow-up here? We got to onboard this individual. And before you know it, just the entire day is gone. And it's like, oh my gosh. I was busy all day, and sometimes it can feel like we're just not getting anything done. Have either of you experienced that before? Because I feel like that was my story to the T. Is there anybody else watching this that's like, dude, are you looking into my soul right now? Are you watching my life on Netflix or something? Like, this is me 100%.
Stay off my nanny cam.
So, Jeff, for everybody who doesn't know, take a couple seconds, man, and just introduce yourself for everybody who doesn't know. What are you doing? How many kids do you have? Where do you live? How many
animals do you have, Jeff? Tell me.
Yeah,
I've got animals too.
Yeah, I got quite a bit going on. So, father of 5 dogs as well, 13 chickens, 28 bunnies, and a partridge in a pear tree. So we got a lot going on our plate, but you stay productive, you stay active, you stay happy, you start sitting down, you stay stagnant, nothing's going to change. Life won't get better for you if you're just staying in the same mundane state every day. And I'm not a big believer in it, and my family isn't either. So we're active, we're go-getters. The farm life, the business life, as well as the W-2 life is ever evolving and ever changing.
So, Jeff, I got to poke at you a little bit recently. Your W-2 is so cool. So, aside from actually being on our onboarding, or being our onboarding team, our onboarding specialist, our go-to guy, what do you do for work?
Yeah, so my W-2 is actually a fuels reduction specialist, and I run and manage a crew of 16 individuals that help mitigate and lessen fire reduction in private properties as well as forests and national forests.
Dude.
So long story short, I'm basically a Jedi with a chainsaw.
Okay, good. I was like, okay, break this down for me like I'm 6.
Yeah, so Jedi with a chainsaw, we go out, we clean your property of any ladder fuels, anything that's going to take the fire from the ground if it comes into your property, and put it into the canopy of the trees. So we make sure that it's manageable for crew and personnel to actually get in there and fight the fire.
Interesting.
Dude, you're so cool.
How long have you been doing this?
This is my 14th year. So I'm passionate about it. I am dedicated to the job and the cause, and as well as the outreach and the support, because within the community I live in, everybody's property butts up to national forests and land that they don't own and that they can't manage and prevent the fire from coming through that area into their property and destroying their home. So without our ability to promote that and create that benefit within our community, there would be more devastation to houses as well as property.
Wow. And so do you do all of this from the house, or do you, I don't know, do they call it deployment in your, terms?
So I'm not
deploy to like Alaska and do all that stuff too, or?
It's not a deployment. There is actually one in Alaska. We're actually several companies, a nonprofit organization called Resource Conservation Districts. And there's one in every county, almost every county from here all the way to Mississippi. Mm-hmm. And it originally was started during the Dust Bowl to help farmers that were having problems with their crops due to devastation from the dust. Mm-hmm. So it's basically just free money that we're putting back out to the public to help the public. And most people in their county don't even know it's available.
That's true.
Wow.
I Googled that.
Yeah. Carlin being one of them. And now she is a knower and she knows the info.
And so are all of you.
Everybody that literally has a property with a lot of trees in it, a lot of brush that they can't see through it, and they want it to look like a park, reach out to the RCD within your community, within your county, and see what grants they have for funding to help you with that.
Just come fix my whole town.
It's literally everywhere. I mean, California, it's our 5th season fire. So we do it. It's just getting better and better. I mean, the grant funding is in the millions now. And when I started, we were only getting funding for hundreds of thousands.
Interesting, bro. So is this something you're going to stick with long term? I mean, do you retire at 20 years type of deal, or?
No, sir. So the long term would be focus on my real estate side, develop my wholesaling skills as well as my seller finance and subject to skills. That way I could focus on my buy and hold portfolio to offset my W-2.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're working real estate right now. How long ago did you jump into real estate?
I've only been in it since March of this year. So a lot of research, a lot of growth, and just enjoying the journey as I go, man.
Dude, I love that you said that, man. Just enjoying the journey. I feel like that's one of those things. I feel like there's a lot of people that jump into real estate and they do so because they were scrolling through the gram, saw somebody leaning up against a Lambo and was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get into wholesaling, bro. And then they're discouraged why they don't have any traction in 2 weeks.
Yeah, they kind of forget that the goal isn't time stamped. Everybody's goal is a different time frame, and depending on when you get there or where you get there isn't dependent or depicted on anybody else's life and journey. If you're focusing on one goal, you got to remember that if you set yourself up with smaller goals to get to that goal, you're going to be not only a more benefit to the people around you, but you're going to appreciate your growth through that journey more.
Wow, dude, that
I'm throwing fire out there, bro.
Dude, oh my gosh, bro. Yeah, I'm like, gosh, why have we not had you on here sooner, man? You just need to, like host this now.
I'm trying to get that outreach. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are struggling with the startup, and they forget that our business is about support and outreach and your network. And if we're not growing with each other, then what's the benefit of doing this? Like, don't do it alone. There's so many people out there that you could help.
100%.
Just take my job, Jeff. Just take my job.
Like I said, motivator needs to be under one of our avatars.
I love it, bro. Give me 2 seconds. My daughter's out of cereal real quick. I'm sure you guys can probably hear her. Speak of the devil, right? Perfect timing to be doing this episode. Yeah, give me 2 seconds.
It's okay. Good. My kids are playing fart noises on Alexa behind me right now. So I'm glad we had that. Yeah, I'm glad we had that test run earlier, making sure you couldn't hear.
Absolutely. And it worked out fine. I mean, that's the point about this Zoom, is that you can't predict what family outcome or thing is going to affect your day. You got to roll with the punches. And even if you try to time block and manage your day, sometimes things come up. That's life.
So then how would you say you balance your time between your business and your family?
Time blocking 100%. If I wouldn't have invested in time blocking my schedule throughout the day, I would be still lost running around with my ADHD head cut off.
Dude, I felt that one in my soul.
It's a need. And a lot of people, they don't think about it like it's a benefit to them just because it's so small and like thought over. Because when I first heard about it, I didn't think it was a need. I said, oh, I'm rolling with the punches. I'm making deals. I'm talking to sellers. Why do I need to manage it even more? But once I actually did, and I took the time to manage even my lunch breaks into my day and my hours down to not only my family time, but allocated between the Growth Co time and real estate, it not only benefited my business, but it also benefited my family.
So then I guess I would be curious, because this happens to me. I was on a meeting the other day and I felt so bad because I had to keep putting myself on mute, get up, chase the kids, come back, sit down, get up, chase them again, come back, sit down. Now they're outside playing with a weed whacker. I have to go figure out how they got that. Like, it's chaos. So I guess what do you do to like mitigate that in your household? Like, what is your roadblock, I guess? Like, how are you just like, hey guys, please don't kill yourselves for like 10 minutes.
Absolutely. So a lot of my kids are older. My 2 oldest are 13 and it goes down to 9. So I do have that age gap where I'm able to communicate with them fully in instructions if I need help or if I'm going to be on a call. so they could either work and play outside or work in the farm or play with the dogs in the backyard. That way I could focus my time onto real estate or to my Zoom calls. But also my girlfriend is the biggest support in my life. And if I need anything, she's my go-to for support, help, and any type of situation that requires a larger brain.
I'm not quite there yet. Like I'm still over here like, hey guys, I don't know how you got up there, but please don't do that. Like my 2-year-old, actually he's almost 3. He'll be 3 in 2 weeks. He is like the smartest thing I've ever encountered, and it's horrifying because I'm like, okay, I'm like 17 steps ahead, and he's like, aha, but I raise you 2 chocolate bars in 6 steps. Like,
yep.
what?
Oh yes.
How did you do that?
Chaos. That young age, I mean, you can't understand where they're even going to be at their next thought process, because it's just go.
So let's see, it was like what, 2 weeks ago now, Jesse, that I was in Colorado, and I left my boys with my mom. And so for context, I have an older brother who makes Evel Knievel look sensitive. That's the best way I could put it. Like he was all over the place growing up. And so my mom's watching my boys, and I get back from Colorado and I'm picking them up, and she looks at me and she goes, your brother has nothing on these 2. And I don't know if it was like a sigh of relief that I'm not crazy or if it was just like, well, I'm screwed. Like it was like this weird limbo of emotions.
You're at that perfect time to be able to already adjust what they're going to be doing and what their focus is on. And I mean, you're already creating a beautiful structure within your children that as they age and as they progress to that age where you can have a full conversation with them and know that they're registering the knowledge that goes in. But I mean, it's going to be a beautiful thing because you're building that stepping stone, that foundation for them.
So what are some of the stepping stones that you put in place for your kids? Like, is that something that you work on in your household?
Daily. Yeah, daily. With 5 kids, 5 emotions, as well as 2 parents, there is always a conflict of who's feeling what and if they're being understood and heard. So we like to be very vocal. Communication is key in any relationship, I think, regardless of your family. If you're not talking to your spouse, to your boss, to your teammates, to even your kids at your youngest age, they're not understanding that you have to talk to get things expressed and communicated within your life. And that is the biggest benefit. So we use this thing called an iMessage, and it's, I feel that you did this to me and it made me feel this way. And then the other person in the situation has to say it back to you. So they not only hear it, but they engage in the communication reciprocated back to them. It's a beautiful thing. And I even use it in my W-2 with full grown adults, because we don't know what anybody else is thinking or what they're feeling. And it's a lot easier to let them know what you mean by saying it and expressing it and communicating it than letting somebody walk away thinking, because then you bring in self-doubt. And I'm not trying to express any self-doubt into anybody's life, whether it be my children, my beautiful lady, or my coworkers.
Damn.
Wow. Bro, I love how you broke that down. And I want to hammer down on I think communication is something that is a skill that is really overlooked. I think when a lot of people are trying to figure out how to scale their business and stuff, and I love how you've incorporated a lot of the things that you are learning and you're doing just in your journey as an entrepreneur, but also as a parent, and you're taking the time to introduce those key concepts and skills to your children, because what you're doing right now, I could just see your kids will never for the rest of their life have an issue with when it comes to communication. And that's going to be, there's so many, even adults, man, like we just have such a hard time inherently figuring out how to communicate, because in our heads, whether it's a business partner, whether it's a spouse, whether it whoever that you're communicating with, a lot of times in your head, you're thinking to yourself, well, they know me, like, why can't they just do this? And it's like, no, they're not a mind reader. Nope. Your kids are not mind readers. Nobody is a mind reader. And it's so important to look at that introspectively and to be able to say, and I'm a big fan of extreme ownership. When you're looking at things that don't go right as a parent or as a business owner, whether it was directly your fault or not, being able to go back and look at it and accept responsibility, and say, hey, this is my fault. Even if it was somebody's fault because they didn't do the dishes or something like that. How effective were you as a leader in communicating that?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Exactly.
I love what you're doing, man. I think that is something that is just so phenomenal. And it's those little things like that where it's very clear and you have a very clear understanding of how to effectively communicate and articulate what is in your head and how you are feeling and how you want something done is a skill that, in my opinion, is way more important than figuring out what CRM you're going to use or what list you're going to skip trace or anything like that.
Absolutely.
It's those little things like that that really make the difference between 2xing your business and 10xing your business.
100%. I couldn't agree more with that.
Tell me real quick, because there was something that you said that really resonated with me early on in this conversation. You mentioned that it's really about the journey. And I love that you said that, because I think one of the things that's so frustrating as a parentpreneur, I think I've heard that is that thing, parentpreneur?
Absolutely.
Anyway, well, if it isn't, it is now.
Market that.
One of the most aggravating parts of that is you underestimate the amount of time, effort, and energy that it takes to go into something. And you're like 2 weeks into it, or a month into it, or 6 months into it, or a year into it, or 2 years into this, or 4 years into this. And you're like, man, I'm just not where, I want to be yet. And it's frustrating, especially when you have smaller kids, when, as you can see, you're in the middle of a podcast, you're in the middle of business meetings or whatever, you're on the phone and they need something. They're out of cereal, the Netflix pause. I don't know why they put that on Netflix anyway. Are you still watching? That used to not be a thing when I was younger.
Of course I'm still watching.
Now we have issues. So I love that you said it's all about the journey, because when you can approach something from that perspective and know that there's never going to be any sort of balance, it's about finding that integration. How do you incorporate both being a parent and with what you're doing? Not only just at the same time, but like you said, like taking the information and things that you're learning as an individual and implementing those things as a parent.
It honestly started with the mindset, man. I mean, if you're not focusing on yourself and benefiting yourself first and foremost, then you're not going to be able to help anybody. And that starts with the people around you the most, your children, your significant lover, your parents. If you're putting out a negative approach to life, or that negative energy that, oh, everything is woe is me, I can't resolve anything, I'm out of time, my W-2, if it's always constantly a battle within your own mind, then you're never going to be able to get past those initial issues to even start benefiting others. So it starts from within. I mean, it took me several years of struggling and very, very lows to points where I realized that I was never going to put myself in those positions ever again, and that I wanted to want more for myself as well as my family. And I owe it to them to be the best me I can, because I'm only on this earth for one life, and I want to be able to not only benefit them the most I can, but also benefit the others in my life as well. And it starts with your mindset, being able to get past those tired mornings where you don't want to get up at 4 and even make a couple cold calls or send a text blast campaign through a program, or getting off of your W-2 and feeling tired and knowing that even though you still got to cook dinner, maybe start laundry, feed the dogs, well, guess what? I still got to put in 2 hours in real estate to better my life, to benefit others, because limiting yourself and your self-worth as a human is the worst possible ability. When you realize that your ability to be a better person is limited, you're almost like an animal in a cage. There's nowhere to go except down, or just stay stagnant where you've achieved. And I refuse to allow that to be not only my prison, but any of my children's prison.
Dang, man. That was phenomenal, bro. You said something in there that got me thinking that let me try to figure out how to articulate this. Dude, it was so good, man. But you said something in there in particular. And man, I just lost it. It was so good though.
There was too much info. My bad.
No, that's not bad at all, dude. No, this is fantastic. How do you find the time to juggle? Like, what's the secret between making sure that you're doing the things you need to be doing in your business, and at the same time you're balancing family time?
Yeah, me and Carlin touched bases on it a little bit when you were helping.
Okay. Oh, my bad.
Blocking, man. Time blocking changed not only my mindset, but my ability to be there more focused for my kids and my family when I am allowed, and then focus more on my real estate and the growth co when my time block time allows me to. I mean, I even time block down my lunches. I time block down dad time when I can go out and hunt for 30 minutes. Like I time block everything. That way I know where I need to be and what I need to be doing to still consistently be making steps towards my goals. Because we don't 24 hours in a day, but you could get a lot done in that 24 hours if you manage your time right.
I think it's interesting, especially now that I am very heavily dedicated to time blocking. Before, and I was jumping over here and I was doing this over here and then I was over here, but I needed to go back there, and it was just so much chaos, and it felt like that's what normal people did, I guess. And then you get into time blocking, and when you're sporadic, your brain, it's almost like insulting to the people who do time block, where you're just like, oh wow, you're anal. Like why are you doing that? Why do you put that much energy into it? And it's a huge stress relief when I don't have to guess what's going to happen next. So I mean, in aspect of like, yeah, I guess you could call me anal, but I absolutely love having a plan for my day, because even if I have a couple extra minutes and I can fit something fun in, like going to jump on the trampoline with my kids, I have an idea of what my day is going to be doing, and there's no guessing game. There's no question on if I have to do laundry. I already know I'm doing laundry, except I'm not folding it.
You know, I remembered. Thank you for sharing that. I to both of your guys' points with the time management and how important it is. And Jeff, you mentioned, you know, just the importance of, you're not always going to be motivated, man. So you have to be disciplined. That's going to be the biggest thing, man, is you have to be freaking disciplined. And if you can develop the skill of being disciplined, that's going to be the one thing that keeps you consistent. Because like you said, especially as a parent, dude, and somebody with 5 kids, Carla and I both have 4 kids. Like, dude, it is draining AF, bro. So I totally understand. Like, and I've got to get up really early just so I can make sure that I have a few hours to myself to get some things done, that I'm not juggling kids. Because once I know my kids wake up and school starts and I've got to go pick and drop kids off, like things kind of slow down a little bit. And so I have to make sure that I'm accounting for those things so that I am consistent. But I one of the big motivators that that has really served me is when you do feel like you're tired and you're like, man, I just had a rough day at work today. I'm tired. I went to the gym this morning. My body hurts. I'm just exhausted. I don't feel like making calls today. I don't feel like doing, you know, whatever X, Y, and Z. I totally get it. And I think the 3 of us, and maybe a lot of you guys who are watching this, can resonate with this as well. But the big thing that I always thought of when I felt like that was my parents always telling me, Jesse, you can go and you have so much potential and you could be anything you want to be, and don't ever settle for less than what you're worth. And you know, when you're looking at what you're getting paid in your W-2, think about that for a second. Anybody who's watching this, if you have a W-2 and you're juggling all this stuff and you're still feeling like you're overwhelmed and you're not where you want to be yet, when that thought of inconsistency comes in, look at what you're bringing in and think, am I being paid what my true worth is? And if the answer is no, then understand that you giving anything any less than what you're truly capable of simply because you are tired is you essentially being a hypocrite to your children. Like you're telling your kids, presumably, I would assume most people anyway, you know, look at their kids and say, hey, you know what you can do and be anything that you want to be. And I support you 100%. And that's what's cool, Jeff and Carlin. And I love what the 3 of us are doing and how we're integrating a lot of the stuff that we're doing in with our children and being able to see them take that information and see how they're actually growing, how they're standing out from, you know, other kids their age. And, you know, I look at my kids and I tell them all the time, like, you got so much potential. You can do X, Y, and Z. Don't ever settle. And that serves as a constant reminder, because if there's something that I don't feel like doing, or I'm tired, or I just, whatever, I always think back to that, like, man, I can't be a hypocrite now. So anybody watching this, if you guys resonate with this as well, don't be a freaking hypocrite to your kids.
100%.
And that has just served as just a constant reminder for me, like, okay, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't be a hypocrite.
I think it's even more motivating when you see them doing the things. Like my my two oldest carry journals with them now. And it was hilarious because the
Nice.
other day I actually posted a picture of this. My oldest 7-year-old, she comes out and she has like it would look like a chore chart is the best way to explain it. We don't do chores in the house. I pay them to read books, but we it looked like a chore chart, but it was all the things that she wanted to accomplish in the day, down to what she wanted to play. So she had blocked
That's
in
awesome.
time. It cracked me up. I took a picture of it. She had blocked in time for playing on the trampoline, for doing some reading. She blocked in time for her homework. And I was just standing there. I was like, yeah, this is a really good reason to keep doing what I'm doing, because it's it's internal when it's internal when you're looking at it saying I can't be a hypocrite, but it's that external feeling when you see the success of what you've put out. And there's just it's so gratifying to see such small humans
Oh yes,
have such big thoughts.
I love it.
Carlin, I want to ask you guys a question. We'll start with Carlin first and then go to Jeff. For parentpreneurs, what are some of the big advice? Give me like 3 pieces of advice that you would give to parentpreneurs, just in general, with some of the things that both of you have been through, some of the breakthroughs that you've had, and some of the lessons that you've learned with juggling a business, a parent, a spouse, kids, appointments, school.
I think first and foremost, I used to make fun of the woo woo people. I will admit that. Affirmations are something I do not skip at all in the day. Like they know their affirmations. We have little mantras, and it seems so stupid, and other people probably laugh at you. But we were walking up to the school the other day, and I'm Christian, so we're walking up to the school. What do you do if you fail? You try again. What happens if you don't get it? You find another way. And so that's one of our first mantras. And I'm walking up and I said, okay, guys, and they repeat these. They say, I can do anything in the power of Christ. And they look at me and they go, I can do anything in the power of Christ. And the lady behind me goes, oh, that's a good one.
Yes.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So I think my first piece of advice is don't sleep on the affirmations and the motivation, because they do pick up on it, and it's very directly reflective in their behavior through the day. My second piece of advice would be anything you're doing, let them see you do it. So when I go walk properties, I take the kids with me. When I'm on the phone, if they're standing behind me screaming, they're still hearing how these conversations are going. They're understanding that this is how we communicate, how we do things. And then I think my third piece of advice would be never stop encouraging them to learn. I think that one's really important. So, I mean, these are the books that I've read in the past 2 years. You should see my kids' rooms. They've got books. We went to the book fair yesterday. They got a book on Megalodon, and what was the other one?
That's a dinosaur, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry. Megalodon
like,
wasn't a thing when I was 6 years old.
Megalodon's like a dinosaur shark. It's like a big shark.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, see, my 12-year-old's listening with me right now while playing Phase 10 together. See, so
Yes.
you can incorporate things like this. So when I listen to your podcast on Saturdays, Jesse, we have that as established paint time. So we're doing something fun together. We're spending time together. We're bonding. We're engaged with each other, but they're hearing what I hear. And so they're getting all of this information. And I would say it's tenfold. I'm by no means, I don't judge if you put your kids in front of the TV. I try. They don't sit there. It sucks.
No.
But if you can get them to be engaged with things that are going to benefit them, never let them stop learning.
That's deadly. That's deadly. I love those. I love all of it. I love the mantras too, and I love that there's somebody listened to that and was like, "Yes, that's freaking
awesome.
dope, man." Jeff, what do you got, bro? What are some of the big things that you would give for other parentpreneurs?
Real quick, have you guys, either of you, heard of the affirmation song by Snoop Dogg?
Dude, I don't even get me started. I love it.
It's epic. I mean, we have the kids listen to it every time they're upset just so they feel happy.
It makes me feel happy. If you haven't heard that, you need to
making you happy.
Yeah,
can't go wrong with that.
All right, giving homework. All right, guys.
Absolutely.
Not now, but after the podcast, go check out the affirmation songs by Snoop Loop.
Yep.
I'll post all of them on every Facebook page. That's what I'll do.
It's truly great. But with that being said, so the first one right off the bat, Jesse, just off of what you were touching bases on a second ago, biggest quote that has been a benefit in the back of my head since I became an entrepreneur, as well as trying to instill a little bit of smarter, not harder into my children while they do work, is how hard are you willing to work to be poor? Because you know damn well that you're going to work harder to be rich. And I've had that in the back of my mind.
Say that one more time for the people in the back, bro.
Absolutely. How hard are you willing to work to stay poor? Because you know damn sure well you're going to work harder to get rich. And it's a beautiful thing. It's been my mantra in the back of my mind when you do have those days that you struggle, or those long hours in the morning or at night where you're not only physically tired, but emotionally tired. And something like that, like Carlin was saying, a mantra to keep kind of burning in the back of your head to say, hey, keep going. You got this. Just another day, one more goal, like take the next step. Don't stop, because the biggest thing to do is just start.
I love that. I love that, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been a big one in the back of my mind, as well as focus on your mindset, because your mentally exhausted days will far outweigh your physically exhausted days. Even with I have a seriously exhausting W-2, and I still get home fatigued and tired after running chainsaw for 10 hours a day. And I still say, I got to put in a few more hours. I need to do this not only for me, but for my family, because I need to be the best me I can.
Wow, man.
I mean, I owe it to them. I think we all owe it to them. You always have a moment in your life where you have to either step up for yourself and hold yourself accountable for not only your own actions, but the things that you're holding yourself back on, but also hold yourself accountable to the people in your life, your family, your kids. Too many times, too many people go by in life limiting themselves, discouraging themselves, and staying in a stagnant position for the rest of their life, which is fine. As long as you're happy, to each their own. But know that you have so much more potential and so much more to not only show yourself, but to show your children. I mean, at that younger age, especially, because they are watching and they're taking it in like a sponge. You want to be able to project out that positive encouragement, as well as that positive information and experiences that will benefit them later in life.
Dang, man. I love that. Donald has a great question here. Jeff, how much sleep are you getting after all that?
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I do a bit of a zombie walk some days, but I wake up every day happy, encouraged, and grateful to be alive with another day to not only focus on my outreach and my support, but to help others. I mean, I love it. I love seeing my kids every morning. So I wake up off my first alarm clock every day and at 4 a.m. and I go to bed by 10:30 at the latest. So I'm getting between 5 and 6 a night. Which is actually doable because it's more manageable between 5 and 6. Anything after that, I end up feeling more groggy and more fatigued than I normally would throughout the day.
Yeah.
And it's those hours between the W-2 and after the W-2 that benefit your life the most. It's that initial drive. Even when you're in the gym, when you're working out, it's not those initial first 10 reps that you're doing in the gym. It's those last 10 reps that you do before you leave the gym that are going to build the most muscle. Well, your brain's a muscle, and people forget that if you're only doing it half-assed and only doing it every other day, your consistency is going to show you how hard you're actually pushing yourself. And as much as you can lie to yourself every day, like you're not going to benefit from that. You're going to hold yourself back from that. Make yourself accountable. Make yourself your biggest cheerleader.
Oh, we need it, guys. Jeff McGrew, ladies and gentlemen, your new host.
I'm just saying.
Dude,
just saying.
This is
like,
awesome, bro. This is
I
fantastic.
don't want anybody
man.
holding themselves back.
I love that. Dude, there's so much. And Maggie actually made a point of that. I think what she was getting at was the book that you got. Carlin, what's the book you guys are reading in book club right now?
Ooh, The Power of One More.
The Power of
Yes.
One More. If there's nothing else that you've taken from just that last little bit that Jeff gave you, was one more. Go one more day. Stay in the game one more day, man. Just put in one more rep. When you get home and you're tired, make one more call, make one more text, make one more connection.
Exactly.
Have you ever
makes
seen
all the difference?
Have you ever seen Hacksaw Ridge?
I've
Oh,
seen
yeah.
Top Gun.
Okay, Hacksaw Ridge.
Close enough.
No. Hacksaw Ridge is based off of a guy named Desmond Dawes, and he saved hundreds of people in World War II without touching a gun. He did not go to war with a gun. That's really, really important. The thing he did is he climbed up to this ridge. He climbed up to the top of this ridge. And he went and found all of the wounded people, and he would take them back to the ridge and lower them down off of it. And every time he would get one person down, he would say, "Please God, just one more."
Mm-hmm.
And he would go find another person. So he was rescuing Japs, he was rescuing Americans, like he was doing it all. It is a fabulous movie.
Powerful.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a very, very powerful movie. So
Absolutely.
Hacksaw Ridge.
You know, one of the things that
Thanks, Zach. I appreciate that, man.
dude, yeah. You're like
Good
the
looking
wrong
out,
game.
guy.
Yeah, this is awesome, bro. This is awesome. How did you get to this? How'd you get to this point, Jeff? Like, what have you been doing to work on your mindset to get to this point to where you can stay consistent every day? You understand the purpose in which you're moving with.
I mean, it started at a young age, honestly. I had a mother that was a hard-working mom. She worked to keep me and my sister fed, food on the table, not only worked multiple jobs, but was consistently there for not only my friends in my life, but also the other people in her life. So, you know, seeing that really resonated with me in my life, that I wanted to help others, but also that drive to stay dedicated, stay consistent. And honestly, having the ability to focus on that really made me come full circle with who I was when I was feeling down a few years ago, and I wasn't excited about anything. I was just content with where I was at. And I had a mind-altering moment when I realized that I have one life on this planet. Why would I limit my ability and just what I'm happy with when I have so much more? And when I initially just stepped out of that comfort zone, I mean, not only did my mindset open, but doors open, networking, communication, my relationship improved, my children improved. Like, just changing one small thing in my life and changing to tell myself that I'm not going to limit myself, that I have more for this, opened more for my life than I did in the first 30 years of my life. So to say that you're not there yet is just an understatement, because it could be tomorrow. It could be the day after. I mean, you never know when that moment's going to be where you say, I've had enough. I'm ready for more. I want change, because it's only you in your life that's going to hold yourself back and hold yourself accountable. And it's only you in your life that's going to push you more. I would say the big three factors, you know, consistency, dedication, persistence. Even if you break it down to just those three, doing those three and being the Michael Jordan of those three in your everyday life, as well as your W-2 or your real estate business, whatever business venture you have, it's going to catapult not only your family life structure, but also your internal structure so much more aggressively than if you just focus on one thing at a time or staying stagnant and standing still. Because don't limit yourself.
How did you overcome? And I'm using this because I know I've been here, and maybe some of you guys watching this have been here as well. But like, failure is just a big common theme amongst everybody. You know, like we don't want to fail. We certainly don't want to fail in front of our families. And I'll use myself as an example real quick. I remember when I first jumped into real estate, dude, the first program I ever purchased was $23,000. And I remember when they told me it was 23 grand, I was like, bro, you mean 2,300, right? I mean, I was even thinking 2,300.
Right.
I was like, wow, man, this is interesting. Just because I'd never, that was my first leap into it. You know, I'd never experienced anything like that before. I didn't know what to say. And I said 23 grand. And I was like, wow, okay. But I kept thinking, I'm like, dude, like, what if, what if it doesn't work? What if I don't get it? Because I didn't even know what the hell a freaking title company did, let alone, I rarely even knew what a real estate agent did. I just knew that when I wanted to either buy or sell a house, that's who I called. And so spending that kind of money it was money I didn't even have. I had to max out 2 credit cards to do it at the time. And there was always that thought in the back of my head where I'm like, dude, and we didn't, like I said, we didn't use credit cards or anything like that. I wasn't, I was in the military, so I wasn't making like a bunch of money or anything, but I was very thrifty and conscientious when it came to, I've never been late on a bill, had a great credit score, all that kind of stuff. So I never had credit card debt. So this was not only the information and the investment was new for me, but putting that type of financial risk for myself at the time, there was a lot on the line, dude. And I just kept thinking like, man, what is this going to do for my family? Like, I just jump into something and I don't want to leave my family in some sort of like financial ruin or risk or anything like that. Did you ever face anything like that when you first kind of started jumping in and like, man, there's a lot of risk involved in real estate. I really don't know too much. Or kind of what were your thoughts? Like, how'd you overcome some of those obstacles in order to get you some momentum and some traction with increasing your mindset and increasing the way that you saw risk and failure?
Oh, no, you're fully right. And I went through several of those scenarios myself where I had self-doubt and I had limiting thoughts where I threw too many what if scenarios into my brain, and it will limit and debilitate you if you allow that to be an issue. But honestly, when I came into real estate, like I said, I had that mind altering switch where I knew that I wanted more and that it was time to make a change and try to look for better, because where I was at, I was happy. My life was content, but I knew I had more. I knew that there was more out there for me and that I did not want to limit my abilities or my experiences by my what ifs. So I seriously knuckled down on my mindset. I stopped allowing self-doubt to hold me down. I started changing my sentencing and wording to I can't do this to I can do this. And then really just manifested the hell out of the life that I wanted, the relationships I wanted, and what I wanted to focus on. And even though I am limited in my hours of time throughout the day, and some people may say I'm running low on sleep, I'm more passionate and happy every day waking up, focusing on my entrepreneurial life and benefiting me and my family than I ever was just focusing on my W-2 and being happy with what I had. As soon as you rekindle that new spark in your life, that willingness to want more, that drive, that free will that we're all born with, that we should be remembering that you have that ability at any point in time to change your life, any day, any minute. Just being born, you are 1 in 400 billion odds of just being alive right now. So don't waste it. Don't limit yourself by self-doubt and self-sabotage. The what ifs will hold you back, not only in your entrepreneurial life, but your family life, even your relationships in the future. If you think about it, in the past, your what ifs held back and dictated so much about your life, to answering questions, to not even doing things. I had mentioned it in a previous meeting with you before, but as adults, we forget the difference between excited moments and anxious moments. Sometime when we were a child, we thought everything was excited, a new experience, a new journey, a new goal, a new friend. Yeah. And then at some point, we all turned that excited switch off and chose anxiety and anxiousness. And that's just a what if emotion that it will limit your ability to be the best you. And again, it just goes back to being the best you can be for your family. I mean, that's what we're here for. That's why we had kids. That's why we chose a life, to be able to teach our children not only what we have learned from the past, positive memories, but the negative memories. They need to know what you learned and grew from, to not only benefit them in the future, but to help them now currently. We owe it to them.
Dude, I love that, bro. I to this day, dude, I think the hardest decision that I've ever had to make in my in my business has been just the decision to go all in on myself. To this day, I think that was the hardest decision, to just say, all right, we're just going to do it. We're just going to commit. We're just going to go all in. And once you go all in, dude, it's funny how your mind just starts solving problems. You just start to figure things out. You can't learn how to drive a parked car.
No.
You just have to go in on it, man. And so I love that you said that, dude. To this day, I think that was just the hardest part that I've ever had to make with anything that I'm doing in any of my businesses, was just the initial jump to make that investment and say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go all in. I'm going to bet on myself. And your mind just starts finding ways to solve these problems and start gaining traction.
That's what it comes down to. I mean, you're the only one that's going to get you to where you want to be. Nobody else is there to help. You'll find partners and networking partners and business partners that will help benefit you, and they'll be great people. But when it comes down to your life, your inner circle, your drive, you got to stay for yourself. You got to make it up for yourself. Keep going.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I feel so fortunate now, man, that after taking that leap, after making that decision to take that leap, you know, you mentioned this, like, at what point did we switch when we were growing up from having that feeling of excitement to one of anxiety? And exactly. I think this is, again, going back to being a parent specifically, and the weight that you carry in really honing your child's future appropriately. And I use that word subjectively, obviously, but a lot of these things, I think you can negate a lot of anxiety and things that a lot of people go through when you show them how to handle it and how to really perceive, obstacles and failures and things like that. Because anxiety comes from the future, not knowing what to expect. And a lot of times we make these things up, to be much bigger than they are in our head. And I know for me, making that pivot and deciding, hey, I'm going to get out of the Air Force at 14 years and not do another 6 and collect a retirement and medical benefits for the rest of my life. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to bet on myself. And after making that decision, dude, like, I get to wake up every day and I feel like I did when I was in 6th grade, dude. And I knew that I had a field trip going on the next day. And my mom went and got me a Lunchable. She got my lunch packed, and I got a Capri Sun and everything. And I've got my Discman, and I've got all my CDs. I'm calling my friends the night before to make sure they're bringing their Linkin Park and Kiss and AC/DC CDs, because my mom wouldn't let me listen to that stuff. It was obviously a great time to further the relationship with the girlfriend. Guys, mind you, I'm in 6th grade, but dude, it was great, bro. It was awesome, and it's neat, man. I love what you said there, dude, because when you make that decision and you're very conscientious about what you're doing as a parent and as an entrepreneur in your self-development, you get to wake up every day almost like you're, going to be on a field trip, and it's literally the best feeling ever. There's nothing but abundance. So you owe it to yourself, and you owe it to your family to be the best version of you. They're counting on you to be the best version of you.
Exactly.
The wonder years when we thought we could do anything. I think we
can't do anything. You still can do anything. Make it happen right now. Right now.
It's just your energy. What was it? Your time, energy, and effort. It's the T.
That's
Jesse.
right.
It's the T.
The T, time, energy, and effort. 100%. It's interesting. I'm going to pull that comment back up. I would, by the way, if you guys, if I've kind of, there's been a handful of people in the comments where it just says Facebook user. I know on your end, you guys can see it, but right above the video in like the description, there's a link that says allow StreamYard access to share your Facebook name or something like that. If you guys go ahead and click that link, that way, when we bring you up here, we can actually engage with you, because I'd love to know who this is. But the wonder years when we thought we could do anything. You know what? I talk to Carlin about this all the time. There's a lot of times in our lives when we look back, speaking of, being kids, when you look back, in whether you were in high school or you were in your 20s or, maybe you were in elementary school, and you're looking back at certain periods in your life and you're like, man, those were the good old days. But you know what? You never know. You never knew that you were in the good old days when you were in them.
Nope.
And it takes growing up and seeing things from a different perspective and looking back and seeing things from a different filter to realize how neat and how cool those experiences were. And a lot of times I have learned over the course of the years is if you are very intentional, and this is, again, where mindset comes in, I understand at a much higher level now what people mean when they say how important it is to remain in the present. Because when you're worried about what's going to happen or not happen in the future, it causes you anxiety. When you're worried about the things that happened in the past, that's what causes depression. And when you can be present and you can be in the moment, you can be focused in on one thing. My wife knows when I'm at work, when I'm at a podcast, if I'm not playing Mr. Mom and I got kids with me, then for the most part I'm focused in right here. I'm 100% all in on the podcast. When I'm connecting with somebody, I'm all in on that connection. When I am hanging with my kids, 100% of my time is being spent right there. When I'm with my spouse, 100% of my time and focus is spent right there. So I really have found that the more time that you are cognitively aware and making an effort to stay in the present, that you start to see that you are in those good times.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
what we're doing right now, what the three of us are doing right now, with the partnership, with the friendship that we have, we're going to look back at this. Like, I already know currently right now, we are in those times. And it's so fun to be able to look at it. It just makes it that much more exciting, because we're going to look back at this and we're going to be like, dude, remember the good times? But we were also, or remember that the good old days, as they call it, right? But we're also going to be able to say, dude, how cool is it that we were also aware at the same time that we were in the good old days, and we just had so much fun. It was literally the best thing in the world.
Exactly. That
And you
will
can
be the
take that
true
same
benefit.
time, energy, and effort and give that to your kids and your family as well. Business is good. Life is good. All that, man.
I love it. I can't wait to see what this looks like in a year.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, I know, dude.
It's crazy because it's like what Jesse said at the beginning. This is full circle from one conversation from a year ago, and here we are now, business partners doing this thing. Jeff, you've been kind of brought into, well, you've just gotten trapped with us now, and
It wasn't a trap. I manifested this. I manifested the hell out of this. I promise you that.
Speaking of manifesting, let me ask you guys one quick question right now, because I know we're coming up on time. Jeff, let's start with you this time. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to in the future as an entrepreneur and as a parent?
Oh, the biggest thing will be seeing my children's growth. I mean, as a parent, we all come from that. We like to see them learn. We like to see them develop, but really knowing between a young age and adulthood that you did the best you could with the time you had with them, and seeing them actually succeed or seeing them implement those things that you helped them develop at that young age. I mean, like I said, my children are up to 13 now. So I've already seen things that I taught them at 5, 6, and 7 that is structuring them at a teenage level. So now that my younger kids are coming up at 9 and 10, I'm going to get to see that as well in the next 3 to 5 years. Just being able to see that change, because not only am I focusing and developing myself and focusing on my journey and my goals and experiences, but I'm instilling that in them because they see my progress, my happiness, my self-growth, and they're actually learning from me without me even realizing it, I guess. I mean, I'm focusing on them, but they're taking so much more when they come up to me and ask me a question about real estate, or ask me a question about the last Zoom I had or the last seller call that I had. They even know more than you even give them credit for, which is the biggest thing that I love, because you start to realize that they're even catching on faster than what you probably would have caught on at their age. And I love seeing that growth. It's not only the biggest thing that I think is a benefit to not only being an entrepreneur, but a parent, but also just being a parent in general.
Well said, bro. Carlin, what do you got? What are you looking forward to, both as an entrepreneur and as a parent?
He kind of took the words out of my mouth. Like, I really like seeing the curiosity and the excitement and the engagement. Like, my kids are constantly curious about things. Like, they understand that there's no cap out for what you can learn. Like, it's just constantly growing and growing. So I love when we get to go on vacation with them, because my idea of fun, we go to museums, we go to the aquarium, like we went to the beach and found different kinds of jellyfish and different kinds of fish and stuff like that. And while that part is fun, they were excited to go back and learn about those kinds of things. They wanted to know what they ate, how they survived, what kinds of things that, I got my son actually stepped on a man-o-war. It was the scariest thing I've ever, but he didn't step on the tentacle part. Thank God. He
So
stepped
lucky.
on he stepped on the bubble part.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. So
Oh my
lucky.
God.
Yeah, it was horrifying. Oh, it's James. That's who it is. It was loud. That's James. It was just so horrifying, but seeing their excitement and their curiosity and their engagement. One of my 7-year-olds, everything. She knows everything about the ocean. Like, it's ridiculous. The
I
other
love
one,
it.
she's going to be a scientist. She's already decided that, and if that's what she's going to do, that's what she's going to do. So I think when it comes to the kids, and I just am excited to see who they grow up to be.
Absolutely. That's what it's about.
That's the best part of being a parent, man.
That's
is
what it's
that
about.
right there.
There's just
Awesome,
What about
guys.
you, Jesse? What about you?
What's that?
Same
Same
question.
I think I literally, man, I think there's a reason why the three of us are here together. I think we've got a very similar mission. We've got a very similar view. We share a very similar mindset. We want similar things, and we push each other in ways. We get each other, uncomfortable. And I guess what I'm getting at is, you guys both took the words out of my mouth. Like, that's ultimately what it comes down to. Is just being able to take the things that we're doing right now and teach our kids in a way and set them up to be better than we were. I want to put my kids in a position where they know and they do make $1 million by the time they're 18 years old. I think that would be just the neatest thing in the world to be able to showcase that. And a lot of what we're doing right now, both as entrepreneurs and as parents, and getting them to think a little bit differently. One of the things that I do, and I know Carlin does as well, is, we treat books as currency in our house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like by treating my kids like this or showing them this or teaching them different ways of thinking and developing their mindset, but they're still kids. They still, treat them like kids. It's not like we're treating them like adults and they're all business and, this and that. They're still kids. We still go to Walmart and they're like, hey, Dad, I want this, RC car, or I want, whatever it is. And instead of just giving them money or even giving them chores, because that's how I grew up. I grew up whenever I wanted money to go to like the high school football game or something with my friends before I could drive. I'd go and ask my dad for money. And what does my dad know about making money? The same thing 99% of the rest of the world does. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're going to want some money, then I'm going to need you to go do the dishes. I need you to go pick the weeds out of the flower bed, go vacuum and wash my car, go do something to earn this money. Mm-hmm. So consequently, what do I think when I become old enough to go drive a car? I've got to go get a job now.
Look for it. Yep.
Right? So now I start trading my time for money, and that's all I've learned about money. Mm-hmm. And then by the time I get out of high school, what is everybody doing when they get out of high school? They go to college so that they can do what? Go work for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So this becomes like just how the thought process of generations go, because of how our parents thought about money and risk and, the mindset surrounding those things, how their parents thought about it, how their parents thought about it, how their parents thought about it. And so Ed Milet talks about it all the time. There's always one person in somebody's family lineage that breaks that generational curse, that says, hey, you know what? This doesn't suit me. This doesn't make any sense to me. I think there's something else I could be doing. There's something more that I could be doing. And then they take the initiative to not only do it, but teach their children how to do it. And so my kids do chores anyway, because they live here.
They live here.
I don't pay for that. But they in doing that, we also teach them the power of, or the importance of discipline and servitude and leading with value and not being asked to do something, because that's in business. That's where opportunities are. You go find somebody to serve. You go find somebody to help. You go find people to help. And the more that you can understand how to do that, the more money you make and the more money everybody makes. And so it's those little things like that, man, that I wish my parents would have instilled in me. And by me doing this for my children, I'm already seeing such drastic growth in them. And I'm already using the money that they're making from me paying them to read books. I'm using that for funding my real estate stuff.
Yeah.
I go to my 6-year-old Emery and I'm like, hey, I need $500 for EMD on this property in North Carolina. And she's gatoring for me, bro.
Yes.
She loans me $500 and gets back $750. So
that's awesome.
As my kids get older and they get to the age of, where they're driving a car and things like that, they're not coming to me anymore. Or not that they ever were, but they'll never come to me and say, Dad, hey, I need $20 to go to the game tonight. Can I wash the dishes? Can I go mow the yard or something real quick? When they want money from me, they're going to be coming to me like, Dad, hey, what do you got that I can invest in?
Mm-hmm. I love
what do you got that I can pour my money into? And these skills and these little things, they go to school. They look for opportunities to serve and to help people. They come home. They see their mom folding laundry. They see their mom doing whatever. Mom, can I help you with anything? Mm-hmm. So all of that just kind of embodies what I'm excited about for the future. Just seeing the individuals that my kids grow up to be. And it's just, what an exciting time. Like I said, we're living in the good old days right now.
Absolutely.
I love that I'm going to be able to look back at this and use the social media, the podcasting, all that kind of stuff as a way to document what I'm going through right now. My kids are going to look back at this and see, my dad doing a live and not putting it off simply because his kids weren't asleep or, what. I know so many parents that are like, I can't make this meeting right now. My kid didn't go down. And I'm like, your one kid didn't go down. Yeah. I've got 4. You should, you know what I mean? We're going live regardless. I make it a policy to never cancel a meeting if I can help it. And just having that thought process and finding a way and going into understanding. It's very important you go in and understand that there's no balance. As a parent and as a business owner, there's no balance. You have to find a way to integrate these things, as you guys can see live right now.
Exactly.
So that's what it's all about. And that's the kind of life we want to live, right? We want to be able to go travel and take our kids to do things. And of course, once you acquire these skills and this understanding of how to do all these things, obviously, nobody ever learns how to make $5,000 a month and says, oh, you know what, I'm done. Or learns how to make $10,000 a month as a business owner and says, oh, you know what, I'm done. I'm not really, I'm not going to level up. That doesn't happen. The amount of time, energy, and effort that it takes to get to a point to where you can replace your income alone requires you to be a completely different person. And at no point do you ever just stop doing that after you've gotten the bug. After you've spent that much time learning how to acquire those skills to make those, to make the kind of money that you want to make. No one just stops, So as you continue raising the bar, as you go on cruises, as you take your families on vacation, as you go on, insert whatever and travel with your family, you're also conducting business on that, doing those things as well. And you're also integrating your family into it. So that's what it's all about, at least for me. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but that's what I'm excited about for the future, bro.
Yep. I love it. You're absolutely right.
So anyway, do you, Carlin or Jeff, do you guys have any final parting words real quick?
So Jeff had said something earlier. He said there were a lot of what if questions. And on a quick side note, you can reframe the what if questions to help you. So instead of thinking, what if I don't succeed? You can ask yourself, what if I just don't try? That's usually what keeps me going.
Yeah, that's a tough one too. That's a good flip. That's a good flip. I like that.
That's a really good flip.
So those are my parting words. TGIF.
That's smart.
TGIF.
Yeah, just stay consistent, stay persistent, and like you said, try to find that balance between struggle of business and everyday life. And when you actually find that point, hold on to it and keep pushing forward. Don't sit still.
Appreciate the moments.
Yep. Appreciate the little things that get you to the bigger goals in your life.
Love that. Fantastic parting words. Well, both Jeff and Carlin, thank you guys for being here. This was super fun. Absolutely. And everybody else who jumped in and listened live and interacted with us, thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate it. I know this was in the middle of a Friday afternoon. for those of you guys who are on Eastern and Central time zones, for everybody else in Mountain Pacific and Alaska, and maybe even Hawaii. Appreciate you guys spending your morning with us.
Absolutely.
This is a lot of fun.
One last thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yo, you're good.
I just want to clarify. Jeff is part of our onboarding team. He is part of the Growth Co, and he is a huge, huge part of everything Jesse and I are doing. So if you see him blasting your Facebook page, that's our guy, guys, right there. That's our dude.
Outreach and support. I got you. Any questions needed, any information needed, reach out, please.
Jeff is a major reason why our program alone is different than everybody else's. And it's a major reason why people are changing their lives, they're changing their business. And we're very appreciative of you, Jeff. Thank you guys very much. If you guys would love to if you guys love this episode and you would love to know more about how you can transform your business, your life, reach out to Jeff.
Absolutely.
We'd love to
100%.
get you guys more information about the program. We're actually filling our last cohort of the year, October 25th. So we've got just shy of a month left. So we've been filling up seats. I mean, all week, last week. If you guys are interested, please reach out to Jeff and let's see how we can help you. Let's see how we can be an asset and a resource for you.
Absolutely.
Awesome, guys. Well, I hope everybody has an amazing Friday. Have an amazing weekend. TGIF.
Send you both, TGIF.